just came to play for the money. On 7 good ponies and some damn good swing.
Hi everyone, welcome to the 5th Swan Cup video podcast. My name is Alex Roble from the Australian Polocrosse Club, and we're going to endeavour to complete a podcast every week in the lead up to the 2021 Australian Swan Cup. I'm the president of the Australian Polocrosse Club, and we're going to use this podcast to provide you with information about the Swan Cup and meet the people behind the scenes who help to make our event a success. The Swan Cup will run from the 8th to the 11th of July 2021, and our open men's polocrosse and sail nominations will open on the 19th of April and close on the 10th of May 2021. I'm here with our club member and leader of our Swan Cup, Cameron Neville. How you going, Cameron?
Terrific, mate. Thanks for having me.
And our special guest this week is Hayden Turnbull from the Nutrien Polocrosse Club. Thanks for joining us, Hayden. How you going?
Good, Alex. How are you, mate? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, going pretty good. So first of all, thanks for coming on board and doing a podcast with us for the Swan Cup. And just to get us a bit started, Hayden, in case there's some people out there that aren't part of the polocrosse community, where are you from and how long you've been involved in polocrosse?
I live at Upper Horton, which is a couple of hours north of Tamworth, and I've played all my polocrosse at Crindye. And I don't really play all the time now, but I think with you fellas making an effort and doing something special like you're doing it at Inverell, I'm keen to be part of it. So I'm going to come up there and have a run, and with a fair few Crindye boys and a couple other blokes mixed in, which will be good. And yeah.
All right. Would you be able to tell us some of your greatest achievements in polocrosse?
Hopefully they're still to come. Swan Cup 2021.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. And so, can you tell everyone how long you've been breeding a few horses?
Yeah, we only breed 2 or 3 mares a year, mate. And I guess Dad's been doing that for a long time, and yeah, we're still doing that now. Yeah, that's sort of all we breed, and I guess that's been happening for, I suppose Dad's been breeding a horse or two for maybe 50 years or something like that, and there's still 1 or 2 that have gone back right back to the start sort of thing, and yeah.
And
Mate, what bloodline do you base your breeding of your horses off?
Well, I guess it's similar to the camp draft world, and in recent years we've sort of followed those lines purely because if you might pay a little bit more for a con man or an ivory service fee, or horses similar to that, but on the other end of it, you get your return, and if they're not quite suited to polocrosse, well, they've got another avenue to get sold in. Prior to that, everything we rode was sort of Hayden Sam for a long time, and then there's been some thoroughbred horses thrown in there in the mix, as everyone does, sort of just to keep get a bit of guts in them,
Yeah, no, true. So, mate, and we're sort of jumping straight into it, but you're saying to yourself, look, I'm joining my horses to Conman and Ivory so I can possibly sell them at the classic or as a camp draft angle. Do you sort of see yourself with what we're trying to do is an avenue for you to keep your traditional polocrosse horses and have somewhere to go with them?
Definitely, we sort of, well, obviously a good horse is a good horse. It should be able to do anything. But there's been, like stallions that Darryl and Bernie and Simon have had that probably aren't known to any other world bar polocrosse world. And hopefully what you're doing and what Berrigan have done, it'll make a market for those horses, and you can take them there and play them. And I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah, well, there's no reason why a good camp draft horse can't play a game of polocrosse or vice versa. And I think the Berrigan have shown that, and Rosebrook and different breeds, and even horses that Bernie and Simon and Darryl have had. But do you think that instead of, say, in the future going forward, instead of going down the quarter horse path, you stay more traditional stock horse because that's where you can get your game of polocrosse out of?
Possibly, mate. Yeah, definitely. I think like any breed, I'd never condemn any breed. Like there's been good quarter horses play polocrosse. There's been good every sort of breed play polocrosse, but I think the reason quarter horses have become as popular as they are is the horses that need a few miles. People don't have time to do that now. But I think that's probably why what you guys are doing is a good idea, because people are going to take horses there that are, as a majority, ready to play. So the hard work's probably going to be done on them. They can buy them, take them home, muck around with them for a year, and take them back and play them. You know. Yeah. But definitely, traditionally, what we play on aren't quarter horses. No.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then you got, mate, you know, like the incentive that Berrigoon had this year. You went down there and had success selling a horse for a bit of money, and you hope to see that horse come back. And do you think it's a good thing that you know, like, you're a breeder of top quality horses, and you're going to get to compete against maybe someone riding one of your horses?
Oh, definitely. I think it makes you accountable too, because if somebody's at a sale and they're buying that horse to come back and play it, you need to make sure the article's right, because the following year you're going to have a beer with them and watch them play it, and you need to make sure they're right and they're ready to play. So and some people fail at that, and some people succeed, and the people that succeed will make some money.
Yeah. And you're just saying, mate, that you've backed off a bit of polocrosse and doing a bit of other things. Like, I know you're taking on a big place down there in the Horton and the Upper Horton Camp Draft Club, and you're doing a few more drafts and things like that. Is it because you got to the top of polocrosse, or is it because you're chasing a different angle with what you're wanting to do, or you want to go and have a game of footy? Like, does polocrosse just need a little bit of a freshen up, do you think, or something with a few new ideas to keep it going again?
I think just on a personal level, I started needing to practice more as I'm getting older to compete with blokes that are going well, and I wasn't doing that, and I was playing accordingly. So I wasn't willing to putting the time in. So I started playing that like I wasn't playing any well. So I started to make a decision, and also I think polocrosse needs to look within a little bit with camp drafting going ahead like it is. And polocrosse has got a little bit stagnant. That's why I think it's such a good idea what you fellas are doing and what Berrigoon have done. I think going forward there'll be more of this to come, and I'll take my hat off to you for initiating something like that. The only disappointment I've got is I'm on the back end of my career when it's all starting. But the sport definitely needed something new, and that's what you guys are providing.
And you got someone like yourself, Hayden. You know, you've gone away, done a few other things away from polocrosse, as you've just explained. Do you think in your mind or your opinion that there's plenty of other people out there in a similar situation?
Yeah, I definitely do. It's a funny sport. To succeed at it, you have to really, really love it at that point in time in your life, and really practice properly, or you won't go any good. And yeah, it's a hard one to explain, but I think maybe some more forward thinking is needed in the administration of polocrosse for it to grow, because I think it's a great sport, but it's not really. Well, in conclusion, things like what Inverell Club's doing with the Swan Cup is what I think the sport needs to take the next step.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I come back from not playing for 15 or so years, and you look at the product that polocrosse has got, and you see to yourself, well, you've got some prime time athletes that could do anything, and then you've got some prime horses that are capable of winning a champion horse one weekend and then winning an open draft the next weekend, and you're thinking to yourself, well, how come this sport's not getting the exposure? Like, that's where Blocky and I really started this process with. But what I'm interested in, mate, is that like you were gonna. I've had a few yarns to you about this seventh player, and I know you're not a fan of it. You just think 6 players, 6 horses turn up, and the fittest horse, the best players, they win. And here we look past that, but the team that you're going to turn up with, do you think, everyone else is putting their teams together as well, and I know some other competitive sides that I think might throw it to you, but that seventh player, I want to talk to you about it, about, maybe how you utilise it or don't utilise it, and how you think it's right or wrong, and your points sort of going forward.
Well, I think it's probably inevitable that it's going to stay. But for me, I always struggle with it because if you're a captain or a coach, it just creates a point of something to go wrong. And also when you're playing, at some stage you're going to have to give that seventh player a game. So you're either worried you're going to play poorly and get dragged, or you feel bad that you're trying to get ahead enough that you can give that seventh player a run. And yeah, I'm probably in the minority not liking it, but I think if you ask everyone that's playing, when you get a rhythm up, you don't want to get dragged and let the other bloke go. But in saying that, if you're competing against another side with 7 players, well, you sort of got to do it because to keep your horses fresh. I honestly think when it was first brought in back in the day when I was a bit of a kid was purely because the selectors were trying to pick enough. I'm trying to find the right words to say this correctly, but it was brought in for the wrong reasons, in my opinion. It was brought in to keep 7 people happy instead of 6 people happy, and it's created problems. But the way the game's changed now, it's probably here to stay. And I can understand why you blokes have had to do it, but at the guts of it, the game is 6 blokes, 6 horses. But it's changed, so you got to change with it.
Yeah, we hear you loud and clear, and like you go to Corindi Carnival on the weekend, where it's your 6 best play your other 6 best, and that's your A grade polocrosse, mate. I think probably the difference with us is that we go for 4 days of playing probably against no weak sides. I'd like to think you're not going to have a team there that you're going to beat by 10 goals or anything like that. And I'd like to think that each game's going to be close enough where your 7th player might actually become your most valuable player. Like if you can keep him an underrated player who you think's probably flying under the radar a bit, but can step in and fill that spot. So Hayden Turnbull can spell his horse so he's fresh for the last chucker. I think that's just how we're going to have to roll with it, and how teams are going to have to get used to it. And hopefully that's the best way to go forward with the Swan Cup, not just normal polocrosse.
Well, I'm tipping I'll be the bloke getting rested, mate.
True.
Just probably a bit of a left field question for you, Hayden. But if you could pick 6 of Australia's best players to play with in your team for the Swan Cup, who would it be?
Current players, Alex?
Current players, yep. So current players, which might be a little bit harder for you, seeing as though we had a forced season off last year, and you've been doing a few other things. But who would you choose?
Oh, mate, I must admit I'm pretty.
Don't choose Cameron.
I'm pretty. I'm probably biased, but I think the best games I've ever played is been playing with blokes that I know and play with. So I'd just stick with McCrindle boys, mate. They're always got a good horse, and they're always. We haven't done a lot of winning lately, but hopefully we can change that. And yeah, I'd definitely stick with them. I think Sawley's probably one of the form players in the country at the moment, and Bernie's always going to do what he does. Yeah, if we get Simon to come out of retirement, that'd be even better. But I understand there's probably better players on paper at the moment, but for me personally, that's the style I play, and that's where I've had my most success.
Yeah.
Could even get Raffo back up the top of the hill.
And winning with your mates is always far better than losing with some other blokes you just paired with because you thought they were all right.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I got no doubt this bloke's going way better than this, but for me, I get my least nervous when I'm playing with those fellas, yeah.
Yeah. And that's it. You play with someone long enough, you know what they're going to do, you know what to expect from them, and you know what they're going to give you grief when you get down the back too once you come off after supper, I suppose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And just another little question to throw at you. Who would be the best player you've ever played with or against?
I think against would have to be Will Weston, and I think with would be, well, that's a long list because I've been lucky to play with a heap of good players, but with it'd be real hard to go past Bernie.
Yeah,
he just never let me down. He just and not only that, he's the way he could help you not get too worried about what was going on would seem to work for me. Yeah.
Mate, when the Swan Cup idea come up and you had to make your side, like obviously you've just gone and straight to your Corindai mates and thought to yourself, well, we'll have enough power and enough strength to go around there. Have you yourself spoken to anyone from out of the club maybe to come in and have a game with you?
Yeah, Will Weston's playing with us, I'm pretty sure at this stage, and obviously, and the nudist Bronson Macklinshaw, he's having a game. He's going to wear pants and everything for the game. He said
it's compulsory,
as per the PAA rulebook.
Yeah, so we haven't. I don't know if we've decided on our seventh player yet. So yeah, in saying that, Sawley might have organised something. I haven't spoken to him about that because we're actually playing at the Silver Spur at Albury before it with pretty similar the same side, except Cam Freer's playing with us as the rising star, and then it's nearly well the same side coming to you fellas.
Yeah.
And with that, mate, with that Silver Spur thing and the under 18 player, I think he goes in with no points. Do you think that's fair on the under 18 player to go up and play against a man, or do you think you should just open it up or have a cap like we do, or is it better? Or give us your view on that.
I really don't know, mate. I know when I was 16 or 15, that's where you wanted to play, so you might as well just start then and do it. Yeah, but as far as the caps go, I think, it's hard to say what's fair and what's not, mate. The best thing you can do is you blokes set your cap, and we've got to stick to it. I mean, it's even with a cap set, you've still got to rely on the grading officer to set the grade at the right thing. So you can't have a 60-point cap, so you've got to have some sort of a cap, and we've just got to adhere to it.
Yeah,
I think
that was like when we were coming up with the idea of having a cap. We were trying to think, right, you get the best players there, but the most of them, try and get, instead of having 2 teams that can win it, let's try and see if we can have 5 teams that are a chance of winning it. Yeah, that's the only avenue we looked at it with points cap.
Oh, I think you got to cap it, mate, to a certain extent. Like, we could sit here and name 7 blokes in Australia at the moment that are the best players, but they're going to win by 1,000 goals if they're on the one side. So that's not going to work. You've got to, yeah. No, I think
you'd like to think too that the top A grade sides in most clubs are close, if not too far away, and maybe one player here and there makes the difference. So you're still playing with your club side, but you're pulling some win like a Will Weston, then all of a sudden it gets you over the edge.
Yeah, definitely. And it's also, like I said, I'm not playing much now, but it's sort of a bit of a novelty to put a team together, even though it's your club side, but you put a couple of other blokes in that you like drinking beer with, and away you go. Like it's a good concept, I reckon.
Well, you're not blaming the selector for not getting picked, mate. You're picking your own side.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and if you're good enough to stand out in front of that competition, well, and might just get you picked in a New South Wales side or an Australian side. Who knows? Like, give a young bloke a chance to play against a Hayden Turnbull that has never played against him. You know, that's what we hope happens.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I'm sure this time next year we'll be talking and you blokes will be saying, oh, we changed this and we changed that. But you've got to have your first year and have a go at it, and then you tweak it as you go.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, we're on our maiden voyage, mate, and we just hope people get behind it.
Yeah, no, well, definitely. I think everyone will, mate, because like I said, that's what the sport needs.
And our long-term dream is that we can move it from the showground to our polocrosse grounds at Inverell once we get a bit of infrastructure going, and move it out there and have, make it a bigger and better event than what it'll be in its first year. And we need more space, and that's why we sort of want to move it to our grounds, but we just got to do a bit and get it going and have people put a little faith in us and get us across the line so that we can get to where we want to be and can turn it into an event that we want to have. We went up to the World Cup there in 2019, and those fields weren't built to that facility in that, in 12 months. That were years worth of having big events there and big tournaments, and that's what we're hoping to do. That's what we're hoping to achieve by doing what we're doing. So fingers crossed it all comes off and all goes to plan, and we can get it to where we want to get. But I've got one last question for you, Hayden, before we get going. But that are on offer for people who purchase a horse in the sale. How motivated do you think that'll make buyers, and how much do you think it'll increase the competitive nature of our great sport?
Mate, I think this year that the blokes that are playing probably need to get behind it and buy a horse and show everyone that it's working, because there'll be, people will just be trying to feel it out and see what the market's going to do. But if the majority of us that are playing can maybe sell one and buy one and then support it again next year, I think you'll find it'll grow pretty well, especially if you've got a good quality of horse there.
Well, mate, I think if you're an open man and you're coming to our competition and you're not thinking about selling one and buying one back, I'd be thinking that next year in 2022 would be the best year you could probably have to win the open men's competition or the Swan Cup. Either you're going to ride against the least amount of horses, all that sort of stuff. So if that's going through the back of your mind, like, you're mad if you don't want to be a part of it. But then at the same time, like I've heard of a couple of good friends of ours, one of his partners wants to play. She's a 3-point player and she's just keen to try and play with her husband. So because she's never played with him before. She wants to buy a horse and make him buy one so they can play together. So there's all different levels, and, hopefully the top men all come and buy a horse, and then they have to work a team out with them. So I just hopefully it works.
Well, in my experience, for people that haven't had anything to do with incentive sales and playing like that, like I've only had a little bit to do with Berrigoon just this year, but I would say to you, if you want to play at the Swan Cup next year, buy a horse. So when the time comes around next year, you're not trying to beg, borrow, or steal one so you can play. Just get one. You're going to buy a horse anyway. Buy one that's already doing what you want to do and play it there. It's a no-brainer, really.
You got any more $50,000 horses down there you're bringing up?
Well, I got some that I'd like for them to make that, but that was easily the best one I had at this point in time. Yeah, so hopefully.
And do you think you might sell one?
Yes, yeah, definitely. I'd say I'll buy one and sell one, and yeah.
Have you got one there we should be looking at? Are you playing it, or have you had it for a while, or you just broke it in? Or
I'm feeling like I reckon I might play a Bundy gelding there and sell him.
So sell the horse you're playing.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
So you're gonna take out a horse that's gonna play in the open men's competition and one of the better sides there, and then wrap him up in cotton wool and put him through the sale.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I don't want to. Yeah, just feel like that's the best way to just if he was a young horse, well, fair enough, he can't. But he's played a little bit, and I reckon I think he'll do a good job. So yeah. Anyway, we'll wait and see. But that idea could change. But at this stage, that's what I'm thinking of doing. Yeah.
Well, it's pretty good advertising, isn't it? Like you turn up on a horse and you're playing in a pretty top handy side, and then all of a sudden he's lot number 5 in the catalogue, and you want to have a look at him where you go back and look at the last 2 days where we haven't lost a game.
Yeah. Well, if I get a hiding on him, well, he'll make no money, and if he goes well, he'll make some money.
Yeah, it'll be the 6 others, mate.
And if we can organise it as an early lot in the sale, he'll know how much he can spend on his one for next year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nah, all good, Hayden, mate. I appreciate you coming on and talking to us. And I've spoken to you a fair bit about this on the quiet, and we've appreciated all your help and getting behind the Inverell Club. And we hope you have a good time at the Swan Cup, and we hope we see you about.
No, I'll definitely be there, and I reckon on behalf of the Polocrosse community, thank you guys for doing something.
All right. So just a reminder before we go, our event will run from the 8th to the 11th of July 2021. Our open men's polocrosse and sale nominations open from the 19th of April and close on the 10th of May 2021. Hayden Turnbull, thanks for coming along and joining us on our Swan Cup podcast.
Thanks, buddy.
Have a good one.
So get your team together, get fired up. So I can have a chop at you at the Inverell Swan Cup.